Good day, everyone. Hello.
Yes, you can continue, Mr. Robert.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Leonard. Good day, everyone. My name is Robert Selemani. I am a data practitioner. And, today, I'm representing RepliteqAI, Africa, and Zimbabwe. So that's my profile. I'm the holder of a Bachelor of Science honors degree in informatics. I'm the founder of RepliteqAI. I am an ambassador for Africa. I am also an ambassador for data science Zimbabwe. So moving on to the next part, I'm gonna introduce Zindi to the audience. So Zindi is a professional network for data science whose mission is to mobilize a vibrant community across Africa, solving the region's most pressing problems. So see, is also grown beyond Africa, now operating also in Asia, in Europe, and the Middle East. So going on to Zindi, Zindi is a community. The Zindi community is made up of 3 pillars. That is learning, jobs, and challenges. By challenges, we mean hackathons and what are called challenges on this. And the difference between the two, hackathons are usually short. For example, this big data science big data hackathon, which is going for 5 days, we call it a hackathon. While a challenge is something that would be open for a long period, that is 4 even. So on Zindi, data users of all levels can build their skills in different technologies, evaluate skills, and get placed in high quality jobs as data scientists, analysts, or engineers. More importantly, the platform connects like-minded data enthusiasts and professionals across Africa and the rest of the world. Like I mentioned, that Zindi is now grown beyond Africa, now operating in Asia, in the Middle East, so help companies solve complex data problems with the talent to solve those problems from there. So just summarizing, the Zindi is made up of 3 things. That is learning in the terms of you as a Zindi, as a data scientist, or as a Zindi participant, learning jobs in terms of you build your profile on Zindi, then you get actually to a chance to get a job through Zindi, as well as challenges, which I classified into 2, challenges and hackathons. So moving on to the next part, why should you be part of the Zindi community? Yes. One advantage I can do is that you can grow your skills. For example, you can get started with machine learning basics. You can dive into advanced data science skills like computer vision and natural language processing. You can test what you've learned on challenges built with real-world data. So very soon, the Zindi team of engineers is on custom learning journeys that you can actually get to follow. So the Zindi welcomes anyone of any level of. I know we have beginners now who may say, I am a beginner, I have nothing, I don't have any experience. How can I get started with my data science journey? So Zindi welcomes everyone. It has competitions for beginners and advanced competitions. So another advantage of you being a part of the Zindi community is that you can build a profile through where you can compete against others to gain practical data science experience and win money in return. You can connect with an incredible community of data professionals and enthusiasts all across Africa and the world, as well as building your professional profile on the platform. So by building a professional profile, you can actually use Zindi, the Zindi platform, the profile section as your CV, because those looking for talent with the community can actually get to use the information on people's profiles to see if they are fit for job openings that they may be having in their organizations. So this is what I'm talking. You can get a job in data where you can market yourself to someone who's looking for data science talent. You can find and apply for data science jobs across Africa and internationally. You can become a mentor of others on the same journey, and you can actually get evaluated and based and shortlisted based on your activity. So up to date, the Zindi community is made up of over 50,000 users, and about 27% of them are women, 160, and is operating in over 160 countries. And to date, it has over 218 competitions and hackathons available. So the hackathons that are available, some that are closed and some that are open. So you can actually just get to check out which ones are open and which your level of expertise, be it your or intermediate or advanced. You can check which one suits your level of expertise. Tune into that one and get to learn more. So let's dive into some testimonials from some of the Zindi users. So here, Lawrence Moru had at the time of the hackathon, I had some data science basics, but I felt that my skills were not to enough. I didn't participate on the weekend, but the community open for a few months after the hackathon, so I went sharpened my skills and made my first submission on Zindi. So I like to take this home. Right now, I know we have beginners right now who are watching into the data science bubble big data conference hacker, and you may not be able to come up with apart from making your starter a submission of your starter notebook, you may not be able to come up with something tangible. But as you have heard from Lawrence, he through the same. He took it an opportunity to learn, went away, sharpened his skills, and came back a stronger person and actually managed to do something. So yes, also what Miriam had to say, although there are some other similar competition platforms, none made me feel at ease as much as Zindi. Miriam says Zindi means everything in my data science world, as I have garnered a lot of new skills and confidence from participating in her competitions. So these are just testimonials from other Zindi users. So for now, if you don't follow Zindi or if you don't interact with Zindi on social media, please check out at Zindi.Africa on Facebook. You can also check out at Zindi Africa on Twitter, as well as at Zindi on LinkedIn. Then me, I'm Robert. As I mentioned, as I introduced myself earlier, you can check me out on Facebook. That's Robert Selemani, but I'm not really active on Facebook. If you want an active interaction, we can interact on Twitter and LinkedIn. That is at Selemani on Twitter and Robert Selemani on LinkedIn. So from now we are gonna jump straight to the Zindi site, where I'm going to take you through the Zindi platform, how to use the Zindi platform to the material, how to make your submissions before I demonstrate to you the starter notebook. So let's go straight to the Zindi site. For the to be shared on the screen. Right, Mr. Leonard, may you please go to the home page. You can yes, you may duplicate that screen on your browser, then have another screen that is showing the home page.
Sorry, Mr. Robert.
Hello, Mr. Leonard.
Yes. So homepage for the competition.
It's all right. Let's just proceed. Okay, so to join Zindi competitions, for example, okay, in our case, there's a link that we circulated. You can follow that link. Actually, there's a sign up link that is, if you don't have a Zindi account, you can follow that sign up link and create your profile. Some are worried that one creating profile for you can't compete a profile. So if you create your account, then have your profile. That's when you can actually to compete on Zindi, and the profile helps them keep track of your work, be it your Zindi points, your ranking on the leaderboard. So apart from that, there's also another link that we shared, the link. So if you click the competition link, then it takes you straight to the competition page that was displayed earlier on the screen. So for someone who beyond these questions, some other day when you would want to compete, maybe after this competition, if you just type maybe Zindi Africa on your website, it takes you to the home page. Assuming that you would have already created an account, it takes you to the home page, where it has these two buttons, that is compete, then Zindi business. And at the top left, it will be showing your profile if you are signed in into your profile. So if you click commit, it takes you to the competition page. Then when you get to the competition page, it has some filters for the competition, where you can filter by competitions which are open, closed, as well as if you want the price category or the level of difficulties, or you want some competition that you have to develop certain skills, as well as topics, etc. So there, you can get to search the competition, right? So in the search area, like this particular competition we are tuning in is open, so you can filter by open there. Anything else you can just leave it like that. Then from there, you can then search fighting fighting fire on that page. And there's competitions in Hackathon. Make sure that you are clicked on Hackathon, because this one is a hackathon. So after you have signed it, after you have found so yeah, that's the page. After you have found the challenge that is fighting fire, there you can then get to join the competition. You can go, as you can see, after below that image there, at the right there is a join. You click join there, then you put the secret code that has been shared with you. Then press you say accept and join to be able to access the competition. So after you've put okay, our secret code is DSZ. Okay, you may join, Mr. Yes, join. It's DSZ in capital letters. So underscore BDC and exclamation mark, then you join. So after joining the commission, it then show you submit there. It means you are now ready to submit. So just below that that image, there are tabs. There's info, there's data, there's discussions, leaderboard, team, and submissions there. So you can on the info, that's where you can get to scroll down and see the information about this commission. Then if you go on data there, that's where you can find our your data set and the description of the data set.
Okay, looks like Mr. Robert Selemani has some network issues. What we'll do is we'll just continue with where he left off, and then we'll take a look at the starter notebook and see if he'll be able to join us soon. All right. So just to finish off with regards to the Zindi platform. So you've got the data, so that's where you'll be able to download the data sets. The data sets, they are descriptions about the particular file. And there's a sample submission, so that is how you make your submission. It's critical to ensure that you submit in exactly the way that they have laid out in the sample submission, so that you do not have issues when they try to evaluate your submission. So you've got your test set and your train sets, as well as information about the variables that are in the data sets. Other information regards discussion. So you could actually discuss with other people who are also competing. If you've got questions, these discussions are open to all competitors. So do not write something in there if you don't want people to know. But these discussions are meant to help with the hackathon, especially to give notice to the Zindi team that if there are potential issues with the data sets or with the competition. your scores will reflect on the leaderboard. At this particular moment, there are 2 scores that have been submitted. So your scores will be recorded on this user board, on the leaderboard, ranked by who has the best score, depending on the metric that's being used. If you are part of a team, then your team will show there. Zindi allows up to 4 members, if I'm not mistaken, to be part of a team. And then your submissions that you would have done will be listed there with the scores or any other comments that you would have made. All right, so we'll take a few moments to just go through the starter notebook. Maybe run a few things. Hopefully we won't have issues with the running, since it was Mr. Selemani who was supposed to do this particular part of the presentation. But let's see if we'll be able to just go through it. Right, so I'm using VS Code to open this particular notebook, but you can certainly open it in Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab. Right, so we'll just discuss or just go through the starter code so that you can be on your way. We'll just see a few of some insights from the data set, some data prep that you could potentially do with your data, and then maybe run a model and see what score we could get, and then we'll try and maybe do a submission. All right. So the fighting fire with data competition is essentially looking at trying to predict the area that could be that covered by fire, and this is a very useful use case in many many considerations. For example, food security. This gives you very good ideas of, for example, can a model predict, how the spread of a fire or the extent of burning areas. Right. So what's going to take place in this notebook? We'll simply load the data, a bit of some exploratory data analysis and some feature engineering, suggestions for validation, and then a simple model and a submission, and then some tips for improving your score. And we hope that after this, you'll be able to continue and make your first submission and find yourself on the leaderboard. All right. So ensure that the files are in the current directory. On Colab, upload them using the files tab on the left. But I'm using my local machine. So this is LS. Oh, okay. Okay, I think this was on. All right, we'll skip that. But just ensure that your files are in the directory that you are that you are working from. Okay, that is code that we have done a lot of times, which is importing pandas, the usual scikit-learn functions and methods and matplotlib, as well as then importing our train and test data sets. What could you do with regards to exploring how what our what our data is like in the data set? We could run a correlation of the of our variables with the target. And so this particular plot then gives us, so from from the one that is most negatively correlated to the one that's most positively correlated, correlation being a key feature in coming up with machine learning models. So we can see here, for example, that climate, vapor, precipitation, land cover, all negatively correlated with the target. Remember, the target is area, right? So in square meters, I'm sure. And then we've got other variables that are positively correlated with Ben area. You will note that Ben area is because it's we didn't exclude the target, so it was also included, and that's why we've got a correlation of 1 day. However, we can also see the ones that are weakly correlated, like land cover 8, land cover 3, with essentially very, very close to 0 values for correlation. We can look at scatter plots, basically to get the distribution of, of particular features. As you can see here with climate vapor, take a sample of about 1,000 and then plot a scatter scatter plot with Ben area, right? And then you can come to certain conclusions. You can come to certain conclusions with regards to distribution or relationship between the particular variable and your target. Right. Playing around with some features, we can add some date features. So here what's happening is splitting the ID, because the ID represented a date string. So it's being converted to a date time object to make it easier to work with. So by splitting the string by underscore or on the underscore will give us the first 3 digits and then the date, which is at the end, and then converting the date to a date type, from which using the DT we can access from the datetime object the month of the year and as well as the year. So plotting by month, we can see that there are months that are particularly prone to having a lot more or more fires or a lot more area being burnt up as opposed to the other ones. So in Zimbabwe, obviously this makes sense because these are the drier months. So from May, June, July, August, September, which are the hottest months, and then pretty much nothing for what is probably the rainy months of summer. So this is obviously critical in understanding what's happening with your data and also extracting useful information that you could use to make up your model. So a model, for example, that has already picked out this would probably be able to do better in prediction than a model that had maybe not considered this particular feature. So that is feature engineering that we're now talking about. We can look at trends or year to year. We see that there has been an upward trend of sorts, and especially between the year 2006 and 2011, it seems that burnt area has increased a bit. Right, so that would also be information that could be critical in informing your models. Right. Let's plot precipitation and burn area on the same plot. And so here it seems as obviously implied by this drill down into the months. So we can see the cycles, right? So as the year starts, we can see as, there's obviously some kind of negative correlation, I guess, between amount of precipitation and burn area, which is something that would expect as precipitation reduces, then chances that we'll have fires, and therefore the spread of these fires obviously increases. So we can see a cyclical pattern in burnt area and precipitation. All right. Okay, adding more features. So you could obviously think of other things that that could potentially help your model. In this particular case, you could think about combining, say, for example, a hot and dry metric, and see, for example, what if there is predictive. Significant predictive power in the features that you would have created. Not here satisfied depends on some processes that take a long time. So if there may be a lot more fuel if the previous season was a good one. So that is obviously a valid idea, right? So if you had a very good rainy season the previous year, and so that means a lot of vegetation, chances are if the next year is dry, then there is a lot, it becomes easier for fires either to start or to spread. So those are the kinds of things that you'd want to look at. Or you could also change some variables from, say, if they were numerical, and then change them into categorical, or the opposite if you feel that there is need, or that that might help your model in some way. Now, a critical aspect of machine learning, splitting your data for validation to ensure that there are no leaks. Now, especially maybe the one thing to consider is that in this particular case, we've got, time data, right? So just taking the data randomly might end up causing loss of information, or at worst, then, just making the model useless. So usually the best thing to do in this particular case is to ensure that you've got all, time, you split your data into 2 time periods. So between a certain day, before a certain date and after a certain date, and so that you can then train on, the days that are that are in the future. If you split your data randomly in this particular case, then you might end up predicting, say, for example, a date that was in the past, so far in the past. And so it is good to it is good to split your data in this particular way for data that's based on time. Right, you can change the columns. Okay, in this particular case, removing some of the variables so that you can run a simple model, and then training, then creating the splits, the train and validation splits. So it's good to have a validation set where you can evaluate your training model instead of training on the whole training set and then just hoping that your model will do well on the test set, which you obviously do not have access to. So it's good to split your training data into the train and validation set, and then you can then test your models. And in this particular case, we are using a ridge. I think this is a linear regression model, a ridge regression, and since the since the metric that we are optimizing for is root mean squared error, so that is what we use for our score. And this particular model gives a score of about 0.027 at this particular point in time. All right. So after you've run your model and then generated your predictions, then scored, then you are happy with your score, then you can submit those predictions, right? So what you could do is you could simply overwrite what's on the sample submission. So if you read in your sample submission CSV, and then you can then change the change the column with the suggested submission numbers, and then you can add the predictions that you'd have made. Sometimes your prediction might give a number that's unrealistic. So in this particular case, for example, it might predict a negative value, and we know that there's no possibility of there being negative bent area. So it would be good to clip the data so that it starts from 0. And I think in this particular case, the bent area is a proportion. So you'd want to also put a maximum of 1 as well, so as to ensure that your predicted values don't go beyond the values that are realistic. And then you can then write to your submission file, which is the file that you upload on the Zindi platform. So you have to ensure that it's a CSV file. If you upload any other file, then there will be an issue. It's good to also use index false so that it doesn't add another column, which might end up ruining your evaluation. Right, so once you have chosen a model, you should retrain it on all the data to give it the best chance of succeeding. Yeah, so obviously the idea is to get a good general score, right? And this might help with with regards to, especially when you have to make a choice on which, because you're going to do multiple models. And maybe you want to select the one that you want as your final model. Of course, you can do that on Zindi. You can select the one that you want to use. It doesn't necessarily have to be the last one, right? And just as a tip, the model that gives you the best score, either when you're running a model or on the Zindi platform, on the public leaderboard, on the public test, right, set, might not be the one that gives you the best score on the private test, because Zindi will run a public evaluation and then a private, which is hidden up until the end. So because you have got that ability to select, that is where you might want to do this, so that you can see which one generalizes a lot better. And then, but it would not be surprising to see a lot of movement in the leaderboard. We've seen competitions where somebody who was ranked, pretty much nowhere close to the first spots, gained a lot because their model generalized a lot better than the people who had, the higher scores on the public leaderboard. Right. So some tips, spend some time on feature engineering. So this is very critical. Play around with your features, try and ensure that your features provide the best predictive power. Then this is a time series, or there is a time series component to this challenge. So don't be restricted to how you would do machine learning with just random data. So in this particular case, because time is an important component to this particular competition, then it's something that you really want to consider. So I hope with that you'll be able to start your submission. I see that Mr. Robert is back, but we'll just say thank you very much for coming through. Unfortunately, we can see that there were issues with the network. I'm hoping that I did well in, or at least as in introducing and going through the notebook. Is there anything, Mr. Robert, that you'd like to add before we close?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Robert. Is there anything that you'd like to add?
Sorry, may you please come again? It's breaking a bit.
Oh yeah, I said, is there anything that you'd like to add on to what we have already spoken about?
Oh, okay. It's okay. Please confirm you can hear me clearly, because your audio is breaking, but I've heard you. Please confirm you can hear me clearly so
Yes,
that I can proceed.
yes, I can hear you.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much. So that I think that's all. Mr. Leonard took you through the storybook. Apologies. I think my connection went back bad, and I was booted out of the live stream. So yeah, that's all. But what I encourage you guys is that I know we've got a number of people who are starting today. This shouldn't be the end of it. Even if you don't manage to come up with anything tangible in this competition, please know that this is at the starting point of a bigger thing. So make it take it as a learning curve, and get to sharpen your skills. You know, because from this competition, you will see that I failed to probably do something because of one things. It's probably because you don't understand machine learning itself, or supervised machine learning itself, a particular regression, which is the problem. So it's now a matter of you going back to revisit that area, and get to fine tune your skills, learn where you need to learn, then come back a stronger person. So we will see, should there be a need, we might extend for this hackathon if we are going to just probably do a short survey and see if people need more time. If people don't need more time, it will close at the specified time. So just keep on checking for any updates from us, so that we give you the best experience ever. So I'd introduced Zindi Africa to the participants. I'll also introduce RepliteqAI in the next few seconds before we can close this session. So the RepliteqAI is a AI company that I found myself. And RepliteqAI is dedicated to providing ready-to-use data-driven cutting-edge solutions across all industries. She does data science, data analytics, and artificial intelligence consultancy, as well as developing ready-to-use solutions, implement and deploy the same. She is a subsidiary of the Replitech group of companies. Please check out the RepliteqAI LinkedIn page, that is at RepliteqAI, as well as on Twitter. Keep on checking for updates. There might be opportunities coming your way very soon for those maybe looking for attachment. There might be opportunities coming your way. Expect by the beginning of next year. Keep checking on our pages. Please follow us as well on the pages, so that you don't miss any of these updates. So thank you guys. Thank you all for taking part in this session. I look forward to see you all on the leaderboard. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me or Mr. Leonard. We will help you answer any questions that you may have concerning the hackathon. Also, if you happen to have errors that you think you must be having those errors, please feel free to get in touch. And thank you, guys. See you on the leaderboard. Over to you, Mr. Leonard.
Thank you very much, Mr. Robert. And thank you very much for joining this particular session. As Mr. Robert has said, hopefully we will see you competing on that leaderboard, not just for this particular hackathon, but also for all the competitions that Zindi has been doing an amazing job of, at coming up with solutions, partnering with organizations that need to crowdsource data solutions. So thank you very much for joining us. We'll take another 10 or 15-minute break, and as we set up for our next presentation, which is by BVS Telecom, who will be presenting on using NVIDIA frameworks for developing solutions that could be useful, in our economy, some of which will be available in the Zimbabwean market going beyond from now going beyond. So thank you very much once again. See you in the next session.